Instagram. Here we
Hey,
go. There
hey,
she is.
how are you?
Hey, Carrie.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Long time no see in person.
I know. It's been, I don't know, at least 5 years.
You know what? I was thinking about that today as I was getting ready. I wrote a couple of notes down. The last time you and I saw each other, we were hanging out in Vancouver, Canada.
That's right.
And yeah, we had a couple of drinks. We hit I think Yorktown or whatever it was there. And then we hit some bars. But that was all event stuff. It was a good
That's
time. I
great.
enjoyed it.
I love Vancouver, BC. That's a great town. It's only like 2 hours north of me, but I don't get there very often.
Mm, I liked it. I had a really good time there, and it's funny that I haven't been back since. But I do tell people, like, if you're gonna go to Canada, check out Vancouver, BC. It's got a great mix of metropolitan cityscape and then the nature. It's a perfect mix of those two, and it's a really beautiful town. Um,
Well,
Food was.
anything West Coast is, you can't go wrong.
West Coast. There we go. I love it. For those people who are watching right now and joining us, let me introduce Carrie a little bit. Then I know she's going to go do her own intro, of course. But Carrie and I met probably 10, 11, 12 years ago when we were both on this great think tank at it was Rethink Council, right, for Berkshire Hathaway back in the days. And it was a good group of people. It still is a great group of people, I should say. And that's how Carrie and I got to meet one another. And she works in real estate, obviously. She has served the Seattle market for 23 years. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but Carrie, why don't you go ahead and tell the people who are watching this and the recording afterwards who you are, what market you serve, things like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. So, been in real estate just over 23 years now. I got into real estate because I bought my first house when I was 19 years old. I was still going to the University of Washington. I was waiting tables and saving all my tips and was able to buy my first home at a pretty young age. I think, got into that because my father was always a big proponent of real estate investment. So growing up, real estate investing, owning homes and investing in real estate it's just been a family thing for me. But nobody in my family was actually like a real estate broker. So I didn't get into it that way, but it was definitely in my blood. Had bought at a young age, and I just loved the process so much. I was almost like a little disappointed once we had found the home and closed on it that like the search was over. And so I kind of had in the back of my mind to get into real estate, but I was still going to the UW studying psychology. My older sister at the time also kind of started thinking about buying a home. So I took my sister to this new construction site and started telling her all these great things about the builder and the homes. And the site agent was like, "Would you like a job?" I was like, "Well, actually, I've been thinking about getting into real estate. I'm really interested in it." So she said, "Well, go get your license and come find me." So still going to the UW, got my real estate license, came back to her. At the time, she was a new construction phenom in the area, representing 7 to 10 local home builders, doing incredibly high production new construction. So I kind of started on her team, just doing admin stuff at first, but then really like just jumped into the deep end in high volume new construction sales, all the way from like land acquisition and development, all the way through, the final product sale and follow up. So that's kind of my start in real estate. Obviously, it's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
2007, 8, we kind of saw new construction go by the wayside a little. So then I
Mhm.
really jumped into my resale career, and I've been doing resale residential ever since then.
I love that story. I don't know if you remember, but I bought my first house at 19 as well. And my
Okay.
dad kind of pushed me into it. And my dad's not a real estate investor or a broker or anything like that. He just told me this is probably going to be a better investment than renting that apartment across from the Bayfair Mall when I was going to school there in East Bay. So yeah, I hear you. That's amazing that you and I have that in common. We were homeowners at 19. Do you hear anybody right now, like in 2024, 2025, people saying, oh, well, back then, when you bought your house at 19, prices were so low and all that stuff. Did you get kind of that feedback when you tell your story?
Um, I mean, certainly I hear that and I see that and I feel that. I think
Mhm.
it's definitely harder today for a young person to get into the real estate market. That being said, I still 100% believe that it is going to pay off for them in the
Yeah.
long run. Um, yeah, it's a struggle. Things are more expensive now than they were back when you and I, got into our homes. But you know, I don't know about you, but for me, for sure, even though prices were lower, I was still pinching pennies, working a second job, saving everything I could, putting every extra cent towards, a mortgage payment or a down payment. I mean, I was living frugal there for a while, but it pays off.
It absolutely does. I remember one of my coaches telling me to work your tail off, eat ramen, and don't spend any money for 3 to 5 years, and just soak it up. Just do it, because after that time, we're going to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor, right? You got to put that effort in. So I love your background story. Carrie also has fantastic children as well. I follow you on social, and they're pretty active. And so you're a super mom, you're a super agent in the Emerald City in Seattle. Tell us, I know you serve Seattle, but is there any other market around there that you kind of specialize in?
Yeah, Seattle is a pretty widespread market. Certainly there are agents that have kind of a niche and they work certain neighborhoods. When I got into real estate, I had kind of a fun saying. I was like, have house will travel. Like I'll go anywhere. Generally speaking, though, I service about an hour all around Seattle Metro.
Okay.
So it's kind of a tri-county area. It's sort of Snohomish, King, and Pierce County, which flanks kind of Seattle and Bellevue about an hour or so in any direction.
Got it. What's your average price point in your marketplace that you focus on?
Yeah. So kind of around the Seattle metropolitan area, our average sales price is going to be anywhere between about 900 to 1.3. You get a little bit further outside of the city and you might get something six, 700,000. Obviously, we've got some beautiful waterfront properties that are going to be in the
Mhm.
multi-millions. But I think the average first-time home buyer is about 1.2 right now.
Got you. 1.2 or
Yeah.
so. Well, that's not a bad market. Here in Los Angeles, our average price point right now, May of 2025, is $937,000. I sold a two-bedroom, two-bathroom under 1,000 square feet for 1.2 million. So neighborhoods make a big difference. If there's somebody watching this video right now and they were thinking about relocating to Seattle, where are some of the neighborhoods you think might be good for a family versus, somebody who's a young professional and doesn't have a family? Do you have any insights on those neighborhoods?
Yeah. So young professional, no family, they typically want to be closer to the city centers. I would love to say that the Seattle area has phenomenal public transportation, but we don't. So, a lot of people have to consider that commute. So if you're working downtown Seattle or Bellevue and you don't have kids, maybe not super reliant on a car, you'll want to live Seattle, Bellevue. Of course, the available inventory is low and prices are high. So, if your budget just doesn't warrant that, then there are certainly a lot of suburb areas up in Snohomish or Pierce County where your commute into Seattle is going to be anywhere between, say, 30 minutes to, an hour.
Okay.
Uh, but certainly more affordable options. You're going to get larger lots, better parking at the grocery store, that sort of thing.
I hear you.
But yeah, there are some phenomenal communities. And then we get a lot of people in Western Washington that are really attracted to the area because of our like outdoor activities.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of buyers that they want to live outside of the city because they want easy access to more parks, walking trails, things like that.
I get it. Are there any schools For anybody relocating from Los Angeles to Seattle, are there any school districts that people pine over? They just absolutely have to get their children there because I know this is a really big deal, especially when we deal with relocation clients. You know, somebody from our neck of the woods with a corporate job relocating to Seattle, they really are interested in schools.
Sure. So the Bellevue School District, last I checked, I think was the number one rated school district in the state.
Wow.
So yeah, Bellevue School District is
Bellevue, number
very,
one.
yeah, very sought after. But there are some great school districts. North Shore School District, Lake Washington. I mean, there's a lot of really great schools in Washington. I think we're pretty lucky around here compared to, maybe some other places in the country. Our public education is pretty good.
That's good. I know that's usually one of the first things my relocation clients to Los Angeles look for. Hey, where are the best schools? They'll make a determination on the neighborhood that they want to search in based on the schools that their kids are going to go to, and I totally get that. That makes sense. Family first. But after that, they tend to look at things that they can do as a family or as young professionals. What can they do in Seattle? What are some of the key attractions that some people watching this video might not be aware of?
Really kind of goes back to the outdoor activities. I mean, some would say, well, gosh, doesn't it just rain all the time in Seattle? Certainly, we do have a fair amount of gray, drizzly days, but just our outdoor activities are phenomenal. So if you love hiking, boating, kayaking, just, hanging out on the waterfront. It's beautiful. We've got mountains, water, green trees, and the green in Western Washington is unlike a lot of other green you might see. There's just a richness to the outdoors that a lot of people are attracted to. So I think that's the main draw around here, people that really love the outdoors. I get some people that move like from Colorado and of course Colorado, I mean they're avid, about their outdoors, and then they come to Western Washington and they go, "Oh, yeah, I could live here." Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so a lot of outdoors activities, great schools. Some of the other things that Seattle are known for, I mean, coffee, right? Live music, things like that.
Live music, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Seattle was on the map for grunge in the 90s. We kind of made our name for grunge music and alternative music through the 90s. And it's, unfortunately, I think kind of tech took over. So we're sort of now more of like a tech city now. But live music is making a comeback. There is definitely a legitimate live music scene in Seattle. It's a lot of fun.
Do you guys have, I know that, obviously Seattle, home of Amazon. Is that the biggest employer there in Seattle, or is there somebody else who employs a lot of
I don't
people,
know
good paying
the
jobs?
exact numbers. Historically, it was always Boeing. Boeing was our largest employer in the area, but then as Amazon, Google, Microsoft, even Nintendo has some headquarters here, Starbucks. So we do have a lot of tech. I think Facebook even has, a preliminary headquarter here. So it's a lot of tech now, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. I love our tech people. I mean, they are phenomenal. But it's definitely driven prices up. It's driven demand up. The one really great thing about it is our diversity of employers. And that's why, sometimes I get questions like, they look at the prices and they might seem a little hesitant, like, gosh, that's a lot of money to spend. And, they worry about any economic uncertainty from time to time. But really, we are fairly well insulated in the Seattle area because of our diversity of employment. So it is a lot of tech. It's a lot of biotech, a lot of aerospace engineering. And we have, outside of the main city areas, a lot of, agriculture and industrial as well. So I tell people, even if we have some economic uncertainty that hits here and there, the Seattle area has always been a really stable real estate market.
That's good. That's really good for you guys. I read Steve. I'm sorry, not Steve Jobs. I read what's the gentleman's name? Bald guy. Owns
Bezos.
Amazon. Bezos. There we go. I don't know
Yeah.
why I was getting all of my billionaires mixed up right now. But a
Yeah.
while back, I read Jeff Bezos' bio and how he started Amazon, the everything store, and he talks about specifically opening up in Seattle first because there was some unique tax benefits to how Washington handles online sales and businesses and stuff like that. So he was one of the first ones to really jump on that, and then other tech companies kind of jumped in because there was a benefit there to working in Washington, and they all settled in Seattle because, like you just mentioned, good schools, great environment, safe outdoor activities, lots of nice stuff to do there. So
Yeah.
that's good to know that you're telling the same thing that he said. Is great benefits for businesses, and it kind of keeps things
Yeah.
stable. There's a good job market there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me see here. Now, we're talking about relocation still, okay? If somebody was to relocate from LA or any other part of the country, New York, Boston, Houston, Midwest, they move to Seattle, what are a few tips that you would absolutely want to share with them in regards to your area? They've never been to Seattle before. They're like, hey, we got this job at Amazon or Microsoft or wherever. What do we need to know, Carrie? What do we need to know? We're relocating the family there.
Oh, what do they need to know about real estate or about lifestyle?
Both.
Okay. Um, I mean, lifestyle, I guess, one of my primary questions would be to them about the commute. I mean, our traffic, LA, so, I'm preaching to the choir maybe, but,
Yeah. Here's your
traffic is
violin
no,
right here.
I know, right?
Smallest violin ever.
Yeah, yeah, thank
We got it
you.
bad here.
Yeah. So my first question to them would be about commute and how that fits into their lifestyle. Do they want to be further out where their money goes a little further? They've got a little more space, a little more suburban feel, but they might be spending, an hour to 2 hours a day in the car. Or, is it more important to them to be, closer into the city and have less of a commute? So traffic is certainly a consideration. General cost of living is high, but relatively speaking, the incomes, I think, also, match up fairly well. But be prepared for a relatively high cost of living. Our gas might be kind of similar to what you pay in Southern California for gas. But our utilities might be a little cheaper than what you might see in Southern California. So maybe not quite as much to heat and cool your home. We don't use near as much air conditioning up here as you might down there too. So
I got the air blasting in the office right now. It's 85 degrees today here in LA.
Oh, I mean, that sounds wonderful to me, but you know what? There's nothing better than like 70-degree blue sky day in Seattle. It's perfect.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, I am going to challenge you on the 70-degree blue sky day. The only time I've been to Seattle, I went for a conference years ago, I think even before you and I met, and it did rain 4 out of the 5 days I was there, right? So, yeah, no air conditioner for sure, but it was beautiful. It was green, it was lush. Everybody kind of just gets used to it and they, go about their day. So I like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, again, working with relocation people, if somebody's selling their house here in LA or anywhere in the country and they're going to Seattle in your neck of the woods and they're buying, what's different about the real estate process there? I know that some states around the country are working with escrows and titles, others are working with attorneys, some states give disclosures up front before a contract is written, some give it after. What are the unique processes that you guys have there in the Seattle, Washington area regarding real estate sales?
Yeah. So we are an escrow state. So you'll sign your closing documents with an escrow agent, usually a few days prior to the actual settlement date. So I know in a lot of areas, all parties will get around the closing table with the attorney, sign and exchange money and keys right there. So a little bit different here. We do your signing and funding usually 1 to 3 days prior to the actual closing date. So I usually tell people, don't have your moving truck in the parking lot, ready to grab your keys and go move in. You'll sign and fund and then not get your keys usually for a few days after that. So that's usually kind of a surprise to people in terms of how they're planning when they're actually going to, pull their moving truck up to the house. Disclosures, some disclosures, like a seller disclosure statement, we'll have available prior to making an offer. Other disclosures might not come until into the process. Pre-inspections are becoming more popular or have been more popular over the last several years, where actually a seller will do the full structural inspection and provide that report to a buyer prior to making an offer. That would be in more of like a competitive situation where a buyer might be considering making an offer without an inspection contingency. However, in a more balanced market where it's not super competitive, then typically the buyer is doing that structural inspection after we get under contract.
I got you. What's the typical escrow time frame? For us here in LA, it's usually 30 days or so. You have some that go a little bit longer, some that, a little shorter. And like you, we're an escrow state, so very common for us to sign 3 to 4 days before actual closing and recording. So very similar, but what's your guys' time frame to close a deal?
Yeah, typically 30 days, but since we have been in more competitive markets, buyers are working with their loan officers to go through pre-underwriting, make an offer fully pre-underwritten, and then we're able to close quite a bit faster, 14 to 21 days easily.
What's your guys' contingency timeframes for buyers, inspections, appraisal, and loan approval? Because I know what you mean by getting a buyer fully approved and underwritten, because that basically means their loan is good to go, 2 thumbs up. All you have to do is meet the appraisal, and you close the deal out.
Right.
What is it like for you guys over there?
Yeah. So if they have an inspection contingency, for instance, a pre-inspection has not been done or they have an otherwise waived inspection, we typically have 5 business days to do the inspection. Appraisals are usually ordered right away and are typically conducted in the first 7 to 10 days. Our financing contingency, the boilerplate contract reads for 21 days for a financing contingency. However, in a competitive market, we're seeing those being shortened to maybe 14 days or waived altogether.
Oh, okay. So your inspection on your contract, the default is 5 days. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
So 5 days to get inspection. For us here in LA, it's 17 days, and we shorten it down to 7 to 10 to try to get things going faster. And then you said your appraisal is 5 to 10 days, right?
Yeah, pretty quick.
That wouldn't happen here in LA. The appraisers here are swamped. Sometimes you have to order same day you open escrow, and then the appraisal won't get done for 10 to 12 days. So you guys are much faster.
A good business to get into, being an appraiser down there.
Yeah, they're busy down here, that's for sure. But you guys are much more efficient in Seattle. It seems like, and I like the efficiency. I always tell my agents and clients who I'm working with, if the deal's going to fall apart, have it fall apart fast, right? You don't want to have it fall apart in 2.5 weeks. 5 to 7 days, long enough time. But let's not drag it out. Let's unplug and go find you some other buyer or find you another house, so we can move on quickly and continue on the path to finding your next chapter in life.
Absolutely.
So
it's painful for everybody if you're 30 days in and then you discover things are falling apart. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear that there. Let's see here. I'm getting a call. That's not good. Let me reject this phone call real quick. It's one of the I guess down things here, doing everything on our phones, of course. But no worries, I can call them back. Now, let me ask you one last thing here before I let you go, because I know you're a busy gal. You got a lot of properties to sell. You got families to take care of. If somebody was passing through the Seattle marketplace, they had 24 hours, best time of year, doesn't matter, what would you recommend them do? 24 hours in Seattle, we're talking breakfast, lunch, dinner, culture stuff. What would you recommend somebody to do who is visiting your town?
Well, I mean, the stereotypical stuff, like you got to go Pike Place Market, downtown Seattle on the waterfront where, they're tossing the fish around. The original Starbucks storefront location is down there. So stand in a really long line and go get a coffee at the original Starbucks. Have chowder at Pike Place Chowder. Walk around the waterfront. Go check out the Amazon spheres. So,
What's that?
I'm sure maybe you've seen a photograph, but they're the giant spheres made of glass, and they are just filled with tropical plants. I mean, technically it is Amazon office space, but they open it up to the public certain days and times. You generally have to have a reservation to get in, but walk
This looks
around
really cool.
the Amazon spheres. We affectionately refer to them as Bezos balls here in Seattle.
It looks really, I mean, they look really cool on the computer right here, but that's
Yeah.
funny. Bezos balls.
Yeah, so go check out Bezos balls. Lake Union has hot tub boats. So even if, weather's a little chilly or we got a little drizzle, you can actually rent a hot tub on the water. So go tool around Lake Union. You get a great view of downtown. You can cruise right by University of Washington. Just beautiful scenery in a hot tub. So that's always a lot of fun. And then definitely check out the live music at night. So there's some great local smaller venues, the Triple Door, the Showbox, the Crocodile, Madame Lou's. Those would be some places that almost any night of the week you can catch some good live music.
Is that like a downtown live music district? Is that kind of what that is? Or they're all separated around the city?
They're all, fairly close together. I mean, you could walk to nearly all of those locations or, jump on a Lime scooter. Yeah.
Okay. You guys have Lime scooters as well. We have Lime scooters.
Yes.
And they're all over. I'm not a fan of them because people walk. They ride them on the sidewalk and then they ring their bell like crazy when I'm walking through town. Like I'm not moving. Like there's a whole bike lane right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. One thing you didn't mention is the Space Needle still there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's iconic.
And actually, it's been a few years now. They completely refurbished, remodeled it, and put in a glass floor in the observation deck. I think they opened up that now. It's been 3 or 4 years ago now. They completely remodeled and reopened that. But yeah, get up there and walk out on the glass floor observation deck if you dare.
I got it. And one last thing before I let you go. Where are the 2 places that you might recommend for lunch or for dinner or even a cocktail? You have a couple of locations that people might want to check out if they visit Seattle?
There are so many great places. Honestly, I'm more of like a neighborhood pub kind of girl. So I spend a lot of time over in Kirkland, which is near Bellevue on the other side of the water, at a place called The Lime. Again, great live music. Great bar staff, great pub food, but really delicious pub food.
Yeah.
Good drinks. So I'm really kind of like a down to earth, nothing fancy here.
I hear you. I'm going to take a Lime scooter to the Lime and I'm going to get a soda water with lime and just
it's like
pass the limelight. I don't know.
Make your Seattle trip all about green. It's the evergreen state, just everything green, right?
Yeah. Well, they call it the Emerald City for a reason, right?
That's right.
So thanks so much, Carrie, for joining us. I know you're busy today. For anybody watching this right now, watching the reel or the YouTube shorts we're putting together, Carrie Foley is a true real estate professional. And if you're looking for somebody to refer your business to, if you know of anybody who's relocating to or from the Seattle area, this is your gal right here. Carrie's amazing at what she does, and I'm so glad you were able to join me today and share all of your insights with our audiences. So thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vic. Great talking to you.
Of course. I hope to see you soon. And with that said, we'll wrap it up, and I'll chat with you later, okay?
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.